Hello friends, today I will talk about the first season of the anime called Is It a Disaster? Four schoolgirls come to their senses on the sandy seashore and begin to get acquainted. Asuka Suzumori is a student in Class B who plays track and basketball. Shion Kuza loves playing the piano, and her dog named Arnold. Mutsu Amatani, an excellent student, enjoys reading and cooking and is good at astronomy. Hamara Anishima has survival skills thanks to her father. 20 hours earlier, the girls were lucky to survive a plane crash on one of the wreckage, of which they are now floating. Hamri remembers his father's instructions and realizes that they have no fresh water. Seawater should not be consumed, because it is salty, and you can lose more fluid than you gain. Having given out this information, Kamari shoots down a flying fish, wraps it in cloth and crushes it. Now you can drink the contents of the fish. But the other girls refuse the treat. Evening comes, and the girls go to bed, and in the morning they see the island. But the current carries their fruit aside. We'll have to swim ourselves. Hamara notices a tiger shark's fin and throws his foam battery at it. The shark is electrocuted and stops chasing. The frightened girls reach the shore. They are shocked by Hamara's erudition, and she says that she and her father have already washed ashore in different oceans of the planet. But then Mutsu faints from dehydration. She is laid in the shade. Hamara, having eaten a grasshopper flying by, explains how to obtain water. From plants, filtering, or desalinating seawater. You can also collect rainwater or find a spring. Mutsu gets worse, and Hamara shares her saliva with her friend. True, at the same time, he treats her with a grasshopper leg. The girl is shocked. Her first kiss was with a grasshopper. In the morning, Hamara and Asuka go into the thicket of the forest to search for water. And Ashlon wanders along the beach and finds an incomprehensible object that looks like a coconut. Asuka collapses, while Hamara feels well. She finds a place where a stream recently flowed and begins to dig out the bed. She doesn't find water, but the soil is quite damp. And the girl manages to get her friend drunk by collecting and squeezing out the soil with a sock. Shion and Mutsu also lose their strength, and then suddenly it starts to rain. The girls manage to collect some water. Hamara talks about 3 rules of survival. If you don't keep your body temperature normal, you'll die within 3 hours. You can live without water for only 3 days, and without food for 3 weeks. So, the first thing we need to do is build a shelter. But the friends unanimously whine about the unbearable hunger. And then Hamara offers a choice of bugs, algae, the remains of something in a found jar, and a sea urchin. Shion chooses a hedgehog but doesn't know how to eat it. A friend shows how to butcher an animal, and the girl is delighted. Mutsu takes the seaweed. Hamara explains that all green and brown algae can be eaten and are highly nutritious. Asuka selects a jar with jam-like leftovers. But, alas, it is spoiled, and dinner goes into the bushes. Hamara is left with cicadas, and she shows how to eat them. The sun sets, and the girls go to bed right on the beach. Time passes, but there are still no rescuers. Hamara builds a hut while Asuka whines about being hungry. The girl goes into the forest to collect vines, and the capricious girl asks to be her assistant. Maybe you can find something edible. And Asuka finds a plant that looks like a sweet potato, but Hamara stops her friend. You should not eat unfamiliar plants. As a last resort, you can do a skin test. Apply the fruit to the skin and see what happens. Asuka is ready to sacrifice her rear end, and Hamara inserts a plant there for her. After some time, a burning spot appears there. This means the fruit is poisonous. Out of desperation, Asuka catches a cicada and is delighted by the taste of the insect. She eats and is jealous of Hamara. The friend is the real mistress of the island. Later, the girls finish building the hut, and Shion insists on building a shower, because they can't seem like a rescuer like that. Hamara supports her. Hygiene in matters of survival is very important, and he built soles from a piece of polyethylene found on the beach. Shion would try it first. Meanwhile, Hamara and Mutsu go to the sea to collect shellfish. The owner of the island shows how to find animals in the shadow of her body, and even the hermit crabs that Mutsu releases are good for food. But now a fire is needed, and Hamara starts it with a water bottle. The stone is heated, and the shellfish are fried on it. For the first time in a while, the girls are eating real food and finding it delicious. The girls soon realize that although shellfish are tasty, to really get enough of them, you need a lot of them. And Hamara goes hunting. She finds butterfly-like tracks left by squirrels that have tender and tasty meat. Now we need to make traps. There are 4 types: choking selkies that shoot arrows, traps that throw something heavy at the beast, and pits with stakes at the bottom. Girls go looking for things useful for this, and the bitch comes across a frog, and she catches it with her skirt. Hamara explains that frogs and toads only eat their legs, which immediately upsets the girl. And then the Hamaras notice a rabbit hole. They return to the beach to prepare the selkies. One end of the rope is tied to a flexible branch, and the other to a loop installed using stakes. All you have to do is wait for the animal to enter the loop. Hamara explains that rabbit holes have multiple exits, so it will be good if they split up and place selkies at other holes. Girls do it. Hamara praises them for their new idea. True, the sap gets caught in the noose. The girl is confident that soon they will be eating real meat. But Hamara cools the ardor of the hunters. Sometimes she has to wait several days for the selkies to work, so she intends to look for shells in the depths. Shun meets the hunters with good news. She found the vessel on the beach. Now they have a saucepan, but they are horrified by the starfish they bring. Hamara explains that these are not many that are edible, but they have caviar inside. The girls go to check on the selkies. Oska is upset about having to kill the animal, but the selkies are empty. And then the girls see smoke from the fire and run to the shore, but the sea is deserted. It only seemed to Shun that there was a ship in the distance. She cries in disappointment. Hamara remembers her father's instructions. It's going to be hard, make a barbecue. In the morning, she wakes Shun up and takes her to the shore where they see the low tide. She asks the girl to dig, and she finds fish. Hamara remembered that there is a type of fish that sleeps in the sand. They collect a lot of fish and have a barbecue and make herbal tea in a saucepan. Dinner was a success. And for the first time, the girls believe that everything will be fine and they will return home. The next day, Mutsu and Oska find a live rabbit trapped. Mutsu tries to finish off the animal, but his hands are shaking. She constantly misses. And then Oska takes over. They bring the animal ashore and receive Hamara's praise. But now I need a knife. And the girl shows how to make it out of stone. And then he teaches Mutsu how to cut up a carcass. This is not easy for a girl, but she must learn. And she copes. Chion remembers how in France a chef cooked a rabbit in front of visitors and offers recipes. True, the only products are meat and sea salt. First, Mutsu butchers him. Then they dig a hole, put hot stones in it, cover it with sand, and cover it with leaves. Pieces of meat wrapped in leaves are placed on top, covered with leaves, covered with sand, and a fire is made. Now you have to wait about an hour. But how do you keep track of time? Hamara makes a sundial, while Mutsu cooks broth from animal bones over the same fire. Shiyong suggests adding stems from a proven plant. The dinner turns out simply fabulous, and the girls are truly delighted. In the evening, they lie on the shore, look at the stars, and for the first time feel full. The girls have been on the island for a long time, but there are still no rescuers. Hamri suggests exploring the island and looking for a more convenient place to camp, because winter will come pretty soon. The girl chooses Mutsu as her companion, as she considers her the most reliable, and they go on reconnaissance. On the beach, they find plants that can be eaten raw, but they grow all over the globe, so this will not help determine the location of the island. Mutsu hopes that Japan is nearby, and the Hamars even express the hope of sailing to their country. Coming ashore, the girls find a boat dock, but upon closer inspection, they realize that the dock has long been abandoned. The girls decide to stop for the night. Sitting by the fire, they worry about those who remain in the camp and imagine how Xiang and Asuka ate fly agarics and set the shed on fire. It's getting dark around, and then those they left in the camp come out from behind the bushes. They got scared and went to look for their friends, but there's only enough food here for 2. Hamara makes a canopy, remembering her father's instructions, and from the fountain she makes a hammock where all 4 of them can sleep. The girls propose to give the island a name and begin to come up with one. In the morning, they discover the crabs Hamura caught and start eating breakfast. The girls are discussing the pier. If there's one, then there may be a home. Everyone goes in different directions. Asuka finds familiar fruits. Her grandmother grows these. This means they are still close to Japan. Shion reports the found house. Everyone goes to him, but the building has long been destroyed. Nevertheless, the find is very important. Hamura goes to explore the house, and the girls decide to try the fruit. But it is bitter and sour. Hamura finds some old scissors and makes a knife out of them. They go to a hill and suddenly see smoke on the shore. But it turns out that this is not smoke, but water vapor that comes from heated stones piled into a bathhouse near a hot spring. The friends plunge into the hot water and truly enjoy the procedure. They throw the fruits into the water and they begin to emit an aroma. Hamura admires the moon and looks for familiar stars. And then the water begins to cool. It turns out that this is seawater arriving. The waves carry the girls to the shore. They realize that the island was previously inhabited and decide to go along the coast next time. The girls are about to return to their camp. Along the way, Hamura points out a thick anchor rope at the bottom. We need to get it. But how? A schoolgirl boldly jumps into the water. She again remembers her father's lessons and climbs up, tying herself with a rope. Having reached the camp, the girls find themselves caught in a tropical downpour. The fire also went out. Asuka decides to look for something in the ocean, but then lightning strikes the water and the girl loses consciousness. Hamura carries her ashore. The girls want to hide in the forest, but Hamura reminds them about lightning. To be safe, you need to assemble a lightning rod. And the girls make it out of pieces of wood, measuring the required distance in steps. Morning comes. The rain has passed, and Asuka goes into the ocean again. And again he loses consciousness. This time she was stung by a jellyfish. Hamura saves the girl again. Hamura recalls how 7 years ago she and her father were left in the Taklamakan desert without a guide, and then the man said that knowledge is what will fill the stomach. Sitting on the shore, Hamura teaches how to make a handle and sheath for a future knife, and then he asks to coat the ends of the sticks with the remaining glue. These will be wonderful torches. Asuka complains of sunburn. Mutsu remembers the sun cream, but Hamura doesn't worry about anything. She remembers how her father taught her to see underwater without glasses, and catches cuttlefish. The others are horrified. Half of her face is painted dark. She remembers her father again. Once in Fiji, he taught her that ultraviolet radiation was harmful to health, and if you let things take their course, the immune system will weaken. Therefore, you need to smear your faces with cuttlefish ink, which works better than any cream. The girls ask to ink them too, but the amount of ink is only enough for one. After the drawing, everything goes to Mutsu. Hamura recalls that healthy creams can also be made from algae, but Shion spills it on Asuka, and the rest rub against it to get their share of the useful product. Hamura invites Shion to smear herself with the remaining cuttlefish cream, which horrifies the girl. The friends go to check the snares, but they are empty. But then Mutsu complains about his wife. Hamura believes it is a horsefly bite, and he remembers Botswana. Then my father taught that one should not turn a blind eye to discomfort. She rubs dandelion juice on Mutsu's bite. At this moment, Shion begins to argue about the laundry drying in front of everyone. The girls don't understand who sees him here. Hamura remembers how in Patagonia his father advised him to do everything in his pants in difficult circumstances. When you survive, you can't be ashamed of anything. So the net will be used for a hammock and not for a dryer. Shion asks Hamura to make perfume, and she remembers her father's advice that a person quickly gets used to unpleasant odors. Therefore, you need to wash yourself even if you don't feel it. A pile of bamboo washes up on the shore, which will make a good roof. But he needs to be taken to the camp. Hamura invites someone to sit on it and drive the fruit to the right place. As a result, Asuka and Shion sit on the fruit. Hamura and Mutsu lead him along the shore by ropes. The girls on the raft get seasick and feel sick. Hamura teaches how to trim bamboo using a fire. It makes an excellent roof. But then an insect that looks like a bee begins to fly around Shion. The girls go to look for the nest. The buzzing comes from the tree trunk, and Hamera realizes that there is something sweet to be had here. Her father taught her that insect